Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a good holiday season wherever you are. I am currently sitting in my son's play fort, this little swing set deal that I just got done building, and unfortunately it did not come with a pirate ship steering wheel. I know, like, what kid doesn't want a pirate ship steering wheel? So I decided to jump into VCarve Pro, spent about 20 minutes designing something up. Pretty much did it from scratch, just looked at a few reference images and didn't put a whole lot of time into it. Took about 10 or 15 minutes to cut out on the CNC, and it turned out really well. So well, in fact, that I thought it'd be fun to make a video if there's any new people out there jumping into VCarve, just kind of what you can do, easy stuff. You might find yourself at a festival or art fair or whatever it is, and you want to design something cool kind of on your own. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So if that sounds like something you guys want to see, then stick around and we'll jump into VCarve Pro and we'll draw up this pretty freaking cool pirate ship steering wheel. Alright, so we are here inside of VCarve Pro. I'm in version 11, and I'm going to create a new file. And we're going to say, we'll just set 30 inches by 30 inches at ½ inch for our material size, and we're going to hit OK. Alright, so this is our material. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to rename this layer 1 to base layer. Hit enter. We will leave it black. Alright, I'm going to go to create a circle vector, and I'm going to go ½ inch, and we're going to put it right dead in the center. Alright, this is going to be the hole right through the wheel, so this can, it needs to be whatever size hardware you're going to use, that's what you'll make it for. But this is, for this video, we're just going to use a ½ inch. Alright, we're going to create another vector, and we're going to say this is going to be 15 inches. And this is what I decided. It's arbitrary, but for what I was doing, I wanted a 15 inch diameter, not including the handles. So, but 15 inches of the main roundness. So from this, we can start working on making this more interesting. So let's take this inner circle, and let's do offset outwards, and let's do 0.5. Let's do 0.5 and not 0.5. That's way too small. Alright, that looks pretty good, and let's go ahead and take that circle we just created, and let's go out 3/4 of an inch. That looks good. And before we go too far, we're going to make another layer just so that way you guys don't get confused at what I'm doing. And I'm going to call this one red. And what we're doing here is we're starting to build the base layer, but we're starting to create the little piece that goes on the top of the base layer too. So we're going to try to keep that separated as well. But let's click this again. Let's do another outward offset of 1/4. Okay, and let's take, I want to move this one we just made back to the base layer, and I want to make these two layer 1, because these are ultimately going to be on their own layer. It's going to be a different sheet of plywood. Alright, so now let's take this outer line. Let's make sure we're back on our base layer. Let's do an inner offset of, let's say 3 inches. We'll just do 3 for now. I think that looks pretty good. So if we hide this red layer for a second, so this is going to be the inner part of the wheel. This is going to be the outer part of the wheel. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to make a new layer, and let's call this handle reference. We'll just call this handle reference. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to decide how tall we want the handles to be. And I think we're going to go with 3½ inches, because I think that's a pretty good distance. It's a child's hand. But I think that's going to work. So we got our handle reference line selected. We're not going to keep this ultimately, but we're just using it to know how far to go out. So from here, we're going to add some guides in. So let's add a vertical guide, dead center, and a horizontal guide. Right click and 15 inches is going to be dead center. And then we're going to create an inserted angle guide through 2 points. We're going to click through 2 points. I'm going to make sure it says 45 degrees. And then the same here, so 45 degrees. So there we go. So I'm going to right click all of these and lock them, so just so we don't move them. Alright, so they're all locked. We're going to go back to our base layer, and we're just going to draw a line from the reference circle to the reference circle down all of these guides that we just made. Alright, one more. Whoa, way too far. I was getting carried away on that one. Alright, so now if we click right here to hide the guides, and let's hide that reference circle, now we have these sticking out 3.5 inches all the way around. Alright, so let's start adding some handle thickness, and to do that it's really simple. We're gonna click each line, and we're gonna do an outer offset of 0.5 and an inward offset on each one. Alright, so we've got that. We added some thickness all the way around. So now let's just grab our Draw Arc tool. We're going to click each point all the way across and just move up with the mouse, and it will complete that with an arc. Alright, it is starting to look like a wheel. We got some thickness, we got some radiuses on the handles. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a vector. We're going to do a 1/2 inch radius on the corners, and we'll do X at 4 inches and the Y at 1.5. And so what we're using these for is we're going to, let's rotate this for 1. Let's go -45. And I'm going to hit move, and I've got snapping turned on. We should be able to kind of snap to this line. I'm just going to use it to give me some detail. Right like that. Something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, and so that's good enough for me. So we're gonna hit copy, paste, and we'll pull this one down here. Zoom in a little bit. Alright, so let's hit Control C, Control V. We can move this one right here. We'll hit rotate 45. Just keep hitting enter until we get it to the orientation we want. Hit move, and we can kind of, something like that. Looks pretty good. Hit Control C and Control V. Let's make another copy. Let's drag that up to there. Put that, let's do rotate, hit R for rotate, -45. Looks pretty good, so let's kind of move this a little bit more. Something like that. Something like that works good there. R for rotate. Move. That looks good. Alright, so we just got one more to do. All right, let's snap down there, see that looks. All right, that looks good. I think we are onto the right track. It's starting to look like a wheel. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is we got a lot going on. So before we're gonna these handles are straight, and I actually want to add a taper to them with the wide part being at the top, so that way if we tie a rope around it, you know, when you're pulling up, it doesn't slip up. So, but before we do that, we need to kind of clean this up. Let's save this. So the first thing I can do is I can select all these center lines and delete those out because we do not need those. Now I'm going to grab my interactive trim and I'm just going to start trimming out all the areas we don't want until this is just one open path. Alright, so I got everything cleaned out and it's really starting to look like a pirate ship wheel. So before we go any farther, we want to make sure, see how these are not joined. When we click them, we get separate pieces, so we really need to make sure that this is all joined. So let's double click this base layer. Double click this base layer. Alright. Hit J for join, so let's join everything. Let's see what we got, because what we need is to select any part of this outer line and it's all connected, and then this inner line need to all be connected. While I'm here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to group these because we're going to need to do that eventually anyway. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, and this is just I'm freehand winging it. It's not going to be symmetrical, but I'm hitting node on the keyboard, in for node mode, and on these points here I'm just going to drag one to the left, one to the right, just to give it a taper. And I'm not worried about them being off. I think it gives it character, so I'm just going to go around each one and drag those points out a little bit. Right, I think that looks good to me. You know, you can adjust it until you think it looks good for you, but for me this works pretty good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a layer 2. And in this layer 2, so this is the base layer, so it's going to be a 1/2 inch thick. So we wanted the same shape to sit on top of it, but we want it a little bit smaller. And so I'm going to take this, I'm going to hit N to go back to line mode. And we're going to offset everything inward 1/4 inch. And let's make this layer 2 a different color, like green. Alright, see, perfect. So that's exactly what we want. Now we want to select this inner shape, but we actually want to do an outward of 1/4 inch. So we want the 1/2 inch clearance on the outside here, and then we want to be able to see a 1/2 inch in there. And then we want to copy this inner circle, paste it right on itself, and then right click and move to layer 2, because we want each layer to have a center hole. Alright, that looks pretty freaking cool. We're almost there. We're almost done. We're going to unhide this red layer, and we can see we have some conflict right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, let's get back on this layer. Let's just offset this inward 1/4, and we're just going to delete that. And I think that's more appropriate because we want, you know, we want that relief. We don't want this to be right up on that. All right, so the only thing left to do is we're going to add a band here. So we're going to create a circle, and I'm going to do a 12-inch radius. And actually, let's make a new layer 3, because it's going to be its own piece. Let's do it blue. Let's move to layer 3, so that's blue. All right, and we're going to do an outer offset. We're going to do an inner and an outer of 0.5. Well, we got to select that first. 0.5, and then an outward of 0.5. And this middle piece, let's move to layer 1 because that's red. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to add the circles all the way around this that I used to put the screws in. So we're going to click the center line. We can start here in the middle. So we'll grab that center line. We're going to come down here and do copy along vectors. We're going to hit copy circles, number of copies, we're going to leave it at 6 and hit copy. And there we have it. And that distributes it out evenly around the center. So I can delete that line out of the center. We're going to do the same thing for this line, except for we're going to go 18 holes. We're going to hit copy. All right. Whenever we use this function, it always puts these holes on its own layers. I don't know why. I don't like that it does that, but I guess it makes sense. So let's click everything on layer 4, and let's move to layer 1, and then layer 5. Let's move to layer 3. We can delete that center line out, and we can, just to keep things clean, let's get rid of these 2 layers since there's nothing going on them. And we can also delete this. Well, we'll just leave that now deactivated. So yeah, so we are done. This is the wheel. It looks pretty cool. So the next step, we obviously can't cut it out on this one sheet because we need, it's multiple layers. So to get the layers, we're going to go to sheets. We're going to create a new sheet. New sheet, we're going to do 4 sheets, so we need 4. If we zoom out, we can see that there's 4 right here. So we're going to leave the base layer where it's at, but let's start with layer 2 since it's the next biggest. We're going to double click the layer to select everything, and we're going to move to sheet 2. And that's going to move everything to its own sheet. Alright, we're going to do the same with the blue and the red. We're going to move the blue and the red to the same sheet. So we're going to move both of these to sheet 3. And then we're going to copy this, Control C, Control V, and we're going to right click immediately and go move to sheet 4. And so that's where we get, so this one is for one side and then this is for the other side. Doesn't matter which one, they're identical. So that is basically it. Now it's just assigning tool paths to it. I'm not going to get into that because everything is, everyone's machine's different. But one thing I did is I put a little circle here in here, and I had the tool just kind of hit me a little index point just so I know that once I got done sanding it, moved it around, like I knew that this handle made it up to this handle. So that's something I did. When I cut out these, I group everything together, and I just I used a 1/4 inch bit. I did an inside profile tool pass. I grouped all these together and did a drilling tool path. I only went in a 1/16 inch deep just because I just wanted the index hole. So I didn't drill all the way through, just enough to where I could get my screw in there. And other than that, I think we're done. I think hopefully this was interesting, and it helps some of you out there. Maybe you find yourself at like I don't know, a Renaissance fair or something, or just, I don't know, if we're something where you want to design cool stuff like this. Doesn't even have to be a pirate ship handle, but hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of how to use the drawing features inside of VCarve, because there's a lot you can do. Like it can almost seem pretty basic at first, but it's pretty cool, like all the things you can do. And so I'll start working on more elaborate videos. I've been really busy, but as I get time, I'll start upping the complexity of some of these drawings and showing you what we can do. So anyway, hope you guys have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, and we'll see you on the next video.